Our next speaker, like Voodoo has been in the top 10 forever. Alexander, how many years have been Voodoo in the top 10 in
25 years.
See, like
Just
they created this, and you guys are so lucky because this next talk not only is with one of the biggest hyper-casual publishers in the world, he's giving out the secrets. He's gonna tell you everything after this. Like, it's all the secret sauces, right, Alexander? It's all that. So please settle down and give a really warm welcome to Alexander Shea.
Hi guys, nice to see you all today. So I'm here to talk. My name is Alex, and I manage the publishing team at Voodoo. There's a few of us here today from Voodoo, so big shout out to the team. Yeah, here to come and describe some of the secret sauce to our success. More on point. So I'm not going to be divulging huge secrets. You have to join us to get those. But I will be talking about some of the things that we think have been really important in our success to date and in how we see the future. So just very quickly, in terms of numbers, and I won't bore you with numbers for too long, and I'll try not to talk about CPIs, LTVs, and retentions. I'll try to focus a little bit more on studios and on games. I'll also try to keep this quite brief, so I'll speak for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I look forward to all your questions. But starting off with the numbers, so Voodoo has been doing quite well in terms of downloads. It's not our focus. We really feel that the important part of our business and the reason we've been successful and we've been growing our studio base probably much more than other publishers in our space is that we've been able to work with them and add value on the product side, obviously in the distribution side as well, but from my perspective on the product side, and that those successes have led to huge payouts. It's not really about the money in gaming necessarily, but unless there is a big payout, then how do you expect to run a business? And so these 6 billion downloads that you see on screen are great. I think they're more of a symptom of our success. And I can't put the margin numbers associated with these downloads, but they're quite high, and they've enabled us to hand out big payouts to studios through the years. We've grown into a big company, and I'll get into what these 600 people plus are doing in a second. But before we do that, I just wanted to go back to what this means for us. So this is a slide of a subset of our studios. They're actually a pretty big share of the studios that we worked with back when publishing started 4 or 5 years ago. This is actually a big sample of the studios that we started out with. And what all of these studios have in common is that they've all done repeat hits with Voodoo. And that's really important for us as we build the community of studios going forward, is we want to make sure that we're mapping out future success for our studios on this list, on our initial kind of studios. They've all done multiple hits, and repeatability in our industry, I think in gaming in particular, is something pretty rare. And if you can achieve it, it means that you have a business. Whether you want to sell your business, raise more money off that business, or just continue to grow. You need repeat success. Otherwise, you're not going to get external interest. We've achieved this with these studios, and it's quite a big list, actually, especially when you consider the number of studios that we used to coach back when these guys started, which was not a big number. And so how do we do this? Well, we want to remain the top publisher in terms of expertise when it comes to ideation, iteration, launching. And that means nailing all the hyper-casual genres that we know exist today. For example, the ones you see on screen, some of these genres that will be successful in hyper-casual in the coming years are not on screen, and we look forward to discovering them. We feel that multiplayer, true multiplayer, not IOs, will be a part of that list, and we're working on it. Other genres do exist, and they will continue to exist because they're extremely attractive genres. And what we're doing is developing product expertise throughout these individual genres because they're very different from each other, and you can't actually throw them all in the same bag. But what's important is that they all share something in common, which is kind of the secret sauce that I wanted to share today. They share something in common, which is how did these studios come up with the ideas for these games? Right before CPIs, retentions, engagement become questions, the most important piece of the puzzle we feel is actually the core of games. Not necessarily the meta, the progression systems, all that good stuff. Whether you're working in hyper-casual or a hybrid or actually casual or whichever genre you pick within gaming, we feel that at Voodoo, we feel that the core is actually the most important part of your game. And so the ideation process to get to that core is really key. So, whether you're starting from an experience, merging gameplays, model and improving an existing game in mobile gaming or in console gaming or PC gaming, whatever your approach is out of those 3 different methods, the important thing is that you really nail the core repeatable mechanic in your game. And so to do that, three items we feel are really important to whatever genre you're attacking. We feel that these 3 pillars of your ideation process are key. These 3 ideation methods are they coexist. So you can start from any place. You can start from a theme. So it's probably fair to say that Fashion Universe, which is our most recent idle arcade, started with a fashion theme, then applied to the idle arcade genre. And so the mechanic is an idle arcade type of mechanic of resource collection, resource expenditure, and a general progression system that belongs to that genre. And then the feeling of that is a feeling of accumulation, of efficiency, of productivity, which is probably inherent to that genre. So if I'm just taking that idea of a game, probably started from the bottom right here, moved on to the left and achieved the top bubble. But every game has a different story. Usually it fits within this framework, we found, if I go back to the studios that have succeeded in our ecosystem. And that's what we find is powerful, is that actually the studios that make it, just going back to this list, and we have many more studios that have achieved great success. This is a subsegment, but these guys all have something in common, which is that they're completely methodical with the way they work. They're super creative, and a much larger set of studios are very creative. Probably most studios are quite creative, but unless you mix that with a process, a way, a mindset, and repeatability, it's very hard to succeed in our business. So I want to go a little bit beyond pure hyper-casual today and leave about 10 minutes for your questions in a second, because we feel that hyper-casual is here to stay, it's here to grow, and we're excited to be part of that journey with our studios, working with more and more studios. We're deploying new things. Voodoo Academy is coming shortly to bring in new talent into hyper-casual. We are also launching a couple of initiatives within the company to grow our internal studio base, to help successful studios through minority investments and flexible publishing contracts. So we're getting quite innovative within hyper-casual with how we work with studios. But we also want to go beyond hyper-casual, and we've started. You've heard the word a lot, hybrid. I mentioned multiplayer. We've got casual teams at Voodoo now, and we're even starting to invest in play and earn. And we're allocating 100 or 200 million to that segment. And the key point here is that, back to what we were saying in terms of ideation, we still believe that the core, how you find the idea, how you find the framework and the approach for your idea, is what will drive success in hyper-casual. And we want to bring this understanding to all these different segments. We feel that actually we just launched a hybrid game recently, which has very strong potential, and it started in the same way as our traditional hyper-casual title, Ideation and prototyping approach. So wherever you're playing right now, we find that hyper-casual is a good place to start at Voodoo, but it doesn't stop there, and you can definitely join us, whether you're interested in hybrid, multiplayer casual titles, of course, hyper-casual titles, and also play and earn. And on play and earn, the only thing I'd add is we're very much more focused on the play side than on the earn side. We want to make sure that you can play and earn in some titles that we'll be publishing, either buying titles or investing in them or investing in studios in this space. But we want to make sure that they're targeting a large audience, because this is where our expertise is, and we feel that there's no reason that the technical barriers to entry in this space should remove from our ability to bring this value proposition to the mass market. In any event, I think I'm spot on. We've got 10 minutes left, which is a huge amount of time for Q&A. But I wanted to just share this stuff as a starting point to your questions. And I just want to reiterate, so you can sign up to Voodoo just generally. Just show your interest, either using these QR codes or just going on our website on voodoo.io and drop your interest there. We will actually pick up every single incoming studio and we'll reach out to you and we'll set up some calls and we'll discuss whichever your interest is in Voodoo. We want to talk. And the last point before jumping into your questions would be that we've become quite flexible. There was a lot of talk in the previous discussion about CPIs going up and LTVs going up and all that good jazz. We realize that. We've actually created some flexibility within everything we do. So we don't have launch metrics. That's a discussion that we have with studios for each game. We have systems and analytics to take the best decision and to bring that information to our studios. But we don't have specific launch metrics or iteration metrics. We give a lot of power to the studios. We're also super flexible in the way we work commercially with studios. So we don't have any set contracts. The conversation always starts, regardless of which segment you wanna work on, starts with what you're looking for as a studio, whether it's a publishing contract, an investment that you need in your studio to continue working, whether you're going to continue working independently or with Voodoo as a publisher. So you name it, we're super flexible. That's why you don't see any specific terms here. Is that we work with very many studios in the world today, and practically each studio has a different contract, different terms, and we're proud of that. It means that we have the bandwidth. We have the size that is required to treat every studio in a different way. So that would be it from me, and please feel free to ask as many questions as you can.
Hey, how involved in the ideation process are Voodoo when it comes to their third-party studios? Do you guys actively brainstorm with those studios or give them jumping off points, or is it all done by that studio and then they bring their interesting bits and bobs to you with maybe some really early prototypes or whatever? Cool.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So typically what happens is once you start working with Voodoo, you'll start working with a publishing manager. Occasionally you'll start working on our platform first to get an understanding of it. But then very quickly, you typically start working with a publishing manager. And usually that's where the magic happens. So, no matter how many frameworks we might have, as the one I showed you, it's very hard to actually implement that framework properly. And it takes a real coaching relationship, more of a publishing and studio relationship, to implement these frameworks. So we very often provide inspirations and guidelines by genre, by type of game within that genre to studios. We help them on mindset, on approach, and on strategy. And then it becomes a conversation about the idea itself every time. So every prototype we test that comes out of publishing, 6 out of 7 times, because studios choose to, it results from a discussion with the publishing manager about the idea first. The ingredients of the idea, does it make sense? Does it have legs? Have we tested it before? Are you going to waste your time on something that has been tried well before, or has been tried poorly, and there's an improved idea? So all those things are really critical for studios, because you can save weeks or months of time by either not developing prototypes that will not work, or by refining an idea that is only half baked, or by just getting full confidence in your idea because it is innovative, it is deep, and it kind of follows the broad guidelines that we've set out.
Hey, thanks. For Voodoo to go into more flexible contracts, I think that's brilliant. But how much do you allow the studio that you work with to explore more of the theme that they have found? So if they found a successful mechanic with you that addresses a certain audience, but they may want to address a different audience, how much do they have to continue working with you to explore that idea? Can they launch independently, or does it have to? Are you locked in to Voodoo?
So we're very much about not locking in studios, and the simple reason is that our lock-ins just don't work. I mean, we want, if a game is not right for us, we want studios to succeed on that game. We want studios to succeed generally. We're just better off, So we release games all the time. Sadly, I have to say that the games we release tend not to perform. And so our biggest worry is actually your time. And 5 times out of 6, you're better off killing a game fully, finding support in another way from Voodoo, and carrying on. And fast prototyping is one of the hardest things to do, especially today, where you might be getting in these high CPIs every time. But it just takes one break, and that break can fund a studio for years. So we do release games. Chances are the audience that you mentioned that might be a bit different from what you think we're interested in, chances are we're probably addressing that audience already, because we really are working on all these different segments. Hyper-casual, we're already publishing casual games that are mass market, and then soon multiplayer and hybrid. And play to earn soon. That's the less mature project so far, but chances are we do want to address that audience. We have different growth teams that are dedicated to these different segments.
We have a question from home and from digital.
From online?
Yeah.
They're running out of questions when they're pulling out the questions from the computer.
Yeah, just bear with me because I can see it's tiny. I'm gonna get there.
Cool.
So this is a very impressive framework. I really want to know how you work with digital media platforms and what frameworks work for you there. And what do you like or dislike about current media platforms you leverage?
Okay, what's a digital media platform?
Like Facebook or...
Like acquisition channels, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, that's a good question actually. So what I didn't mention is that we do address new segments within mobile gaming, but we've also developed new channels for distribution, and some of those channels include HTML games. So if you take Facebook Instant Games or Snapchat games, those are just examples of how we've extended our reach, and we've created strong partnerships to make sure that as soon as a title comes through our door, we're maximizing all those channels. So we'll take care of, for example, developing an HTML version of your game. So we did it first with Aquapark on Snap. It then became very quickly the #1 game on Snap Games for quite a while. And that's the benefit of, obviously, Voodoo and, more importantly, of our studios. Because the reach that you get outside of the stores, that reach is something that's baked into your contracts. Regardless of which kind of tailored contract you have with us, we make sure that when we extend the reach of your games, that the broader market is reflected in your payouts.
Perfect.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.